My name's Rodney and this is our 1957 T-28 C model. And actually I was born in 1957, so the plane looks better than I do.
This T-28 is a beautiful piece of American history, and there's a unique story behind its owner, Rodney. He's the only pilot flying with a heart transplant. Just shy of 2,000 of these aircraft were built, and they're primarily used by the U.S. military as training aircraft. Although some of them did see combat operations in the Vietnam War, where 23 of them were lost. This is the Navy's -C model, as noted with the tail hook. In this video, we're going to take the aircraft up for a test flight and then interview the owner, Rodney DeBon. In part 2, we will talk to Becky Niklas Kelly. She's the sister of David Niklas, who is Rodney's heart donor.
Well, this is a North American T-28 Trojan, and it's about the most performance that you can own without spending $3-4 million. It's got a Wright 1820, 1425 horsepower engine. The airplane was designed as a trainer. However, it did see combat in Vietnam and some other South American, third world countries. Below 10,000 feet, it will outturn, outdive, and outclimb a P-51 Mustang. It is very easy to fly, and it was designed to transition World War II pilots into the jet age of the late 40s, early 50s. The plane was built from 1947 to 1957, and this is a 1957 model, and it's a C model, which is a Navy version. So it has the tail hook, and but it's just a wonderful airplane to fly, and it's a real kick in the pants. I've not gotten all the history on this particular airplane. It was built here in Grand Prairie, Texas, in the North American plant in Grand Prairie, and it saw most of its life down in Florida and flew off of the USS Lexington. And but this airplane, to my knowledge, has never been out of the country or never saw combat. Most T-28s flying today have 16, 17, 18,000 hours on them, and this airplane only has 8,000 hours. So it's one of the last ones built, and it doesn't have a lot of hours on it, so it's a great airplane. Well, since I was a kid, I had uncles who flew in World War II. I had one uncle that flew B-24s in World War II, and the first year of the war, he ferried airplanes. So he flew everything we had, from all the fighters to all the bombers. And he's the first person that took me up for an airplane ride when I was 6 years old. Got me in a Stearman, took me upside down, and flew underneath some power lines. And so I was hooked after that. But in the late 70s and early 80s, you could have bought any World War II fighter for 75 to 150 grand. Well, it didn't have 75 to 150 grand back then. And by the time I finally got to where, I could afford probably what I wanted, I still couldn't see myself spending $2-3 million on something that I'd be the only one up there flying it. So I wanted something that had 2 seats so you could drag somebody along with you and have fun with them. And I wanted something that would perform like the other airplanes. And this is it, T-28. I mean, it'll do straight and level at full power. It'll do 320 knots, indicated, and it'll pull the G's you want to pull, and like I said, it'll outturn, outclimb a P-51 Mustang. So it's the most performance I could have was willing to spend money for. I've been pretty fortunate. I investigated the plane pretty well before I bought it. And I've been flying it now for 3 years, and I haven't spent any money on the airplane because something broke. Put gas and oil in it. A lot of gas, a little bit of oil. Well, when you're in economy cruise, you're only burning 50 gallons an hour. And on takeoff power, you're pushing 100 gallons an hour. But it'll at 55% power, at gross weight, the thing will cruise around at 200 knots. You can't get it over gross weight because I don't remember the exact numbers, but in the military, with all the stores on it, all the bombs and the missiles and the machine gun pods, it's pushing pretty close to 11,000 pounds gross weight. And so without all that stuff, about the most you're ever going to get it to weigh now is about 8,600. And you can't get out of CG. So, I don't bother doing weight and balance on it. It requires type rating because of the horsepower size in the engine. And I believe I'm sure I think this is correct. Anything below 800 horsepower does not require type rating, but above that does. And so it wasn't a big deal though. I mean, it took 3 or 4 hours of training and then took my type rating ride it's an easy airplane to fly. There's nothing about this airplane that'll bite you. There's nothing like the sound of a big radio engine. Just starting it up is exciting. And this thing, I mean, it's a kick in the pants. You take off down the runway, get the wheels up. As soon as the wheels come up, you can feel the airplane accelerating. And it's almost like a second gear kicked in. And so everybody I've taken it is just a blast. I mean, I haven't had a lot of formal aerobatic training. I've owned a couple of Stearmans and did a lot of aerobatics in those, and Cubs and Champs and things like that. So the first time I did a loop in it, the book says you got to enter the loop at 210 knots. I thought, well, if I ain't on a loop at 190 knots, I'd go plenty fast. And so I pull her up and I didn't relax enough at the top, so the thing stalled out upside down at the top of the loop. I was all by myself, and no big deal. It just rolled out and entered the next loop at 210 knots and relaxed a little bit at the top, and it just did perfect. And you can roll it respectable if it's the very first time you've ever rolled an airplane. And the only thing it'll do is it will dive out of the sky in a hurry. So it's got a big gigantic, it's called a speed brake in the book, but it's really like a big dive brake. And if you extend the dive brake, it will not exceed 240 knots. But if you don't exceed the dive brake, you'll gain 100 knots in 1,000 feet. I mean, it'll just wrap it up quick. And so that's the only thing. You get the nose pointed down, it'll pick up speed real fast. I had a heart transplant 25 years ago, and right now I'm the only pilot flying with a heart transplant with a valid medical. And I've got a good friend of mine who now is part owner on the airplane, J.J. Johnson, and Jay Johnson, and call him JJ. And he's ex-Air Force, and he's going to help us take the plane to air shows to promote organ donor awareness. And so we've got stickers on the plane promoting that. And David Niklas, my heart donor, was an Air Force Academy graduate. So we got David's name on the airplane, and so we hope not only to have fun with the airplane, we hope to take it to air shows so other people can enjoy it, and then they can also see that it's for a greater cause.
We actually flew a few days before I filmed this interview. Be sure to tune into part 2 of this series when we discuss more about his heart transplant and the David Niklas Foundation.
So, we'll kind of get to it in the interview, but was it pretty much a struggle getting your medical back after everything?
8 Southeast.
Yeah, it took me almost 20 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm the only heart transplant recipient that has a medical.
It's pretty amazing. I actually lost my medical about 3 years ago.
How come?
I had basically a hemorrhagic stroke.
Oh, man.
Hey, Lancaster traffic, T-28 is departing 13. Lancaster 2, taxiing at 13, Lancaster. Lancaster traffic, Cessna 92 uniform, inbound 2 miles to the northeast. Yak, flight of 2, departing runway 13. Traffic Bonanza 7 Delta Romeo, entering left downwind 13.
Wow, this thing will really climb.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Nothing quite like the sound of those radial engines just pumping right along.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it sounds great. They built these from 1947 to 1957, and this is a 1957. Well, last year they built them, and it was on the USS Lexington.
So I mean, these weren't actual combat airplanes, though, right?
Yeah, they used them as fighter attack bombers in Vietnam,
Oh, okay.
and then a bunch of other foreign countries used them. Lancaster traffic, Skahawk 64134, about 5 nautical miles.
Yeah, I mean, you're not even pushing it hard at all, doing 160 knots. Pretty powerful. Do you do any long trips or any cross countries in this?
Oh, not really. I mean, I bought it from Illinois, so I flew it back from Illinois when I bought it.
Eagle is inbound at 3 miles, can I enter a left base for 13.
100 Papa 7 West 819 full South Scholar.
So we're 6 miles southwest. We'll be landing.
Ah, there you go.
Brownwood traffic, 35 Tango Papa, 5 mile final, straight in on 14, full stop Brownwood.
Lancaster traffic, Moody 73 November is 5 miles to the east, inbound, midpoint entry 13, Lancaster.
Okay, correction on that. Cherokee County traffic, 5 Tango Papa, 4 mile final, straight in on 14, Cherokee County.
Southwest for Livingston 181 Mike Echo. You want to fly for a minute?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, you got the airplane.
I have the airplane.
Lancaster traffic, Skahawk 64134 on midfield inbound wind, runway 13, full stop. Lancaster traffic.
Lancaster traffic, Cherokee 95481, starting runway 13 to the east. I'll be looking for the Mooney, and I have the traffic and the traffic pattern in sight.
Yeah, this thing's pretty nice.
It does.
No boosted controls or anything, it's just all mechanical?
It's just all mechanical, yeah. Midpoint entry 13, Lancaster. Lancaster traffic, Cincinnati uniform, turning crosswind 13, let you go.
2 mile final, straight in.
Yeah, pretty cool. Neat machine for sure, piece of history.
It is pretty good. Okay, we'll go back toward the airport. I got it.
All right, your airplane.
Lancaster traffic, 106 per kilo is turning final for 130.
Park County traffic, range about 2457, left base, you're down full stop. Park County. Lancaster traffic, Cincinnati uniform, left downwind 13. Lancaster traffic, Skahawk 64134, turning left base, and have traffic inside on final. Lancaster traffic.
Getting pretty busy there at Lancaster.
I know, I was about to squeeze in there. Be looking out for those characters when we get close. Will do. Lancaster traffic, T-28 is 10 miles southeast. We have 45, carrying 45 downwind for 13, 10 miles southeast.
I'll probably start working on getting my medical back here in the next year or so, but you know how it is, a lot of money and time, neither what to have, you know.
When you get ready to do that, let me know. I know Dr. O'Brien real well. He's the head guy up at Oak City and head medical doc up at Oak City. My medical has to go all the way up to the Federal Air Surgeon up in D.C. But O'Brien puts it all together and forwards it to D.C. and he's a real advocate for trying to keep pilots flying, you know.
Yeah, that's good. That's kind of one thing I was thinking is that, once my sailing channel, I've already got like 27 million views on it. My flying channel is still building, but once I got big enough and I can include the FAA and they would maybe, it look good for them to help a guy get his pilot license back.
There you go.
There's somebody down off about 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I see him. He's going the other direction. Lancaster traffic, T-28 is about a 3-mile downwind for 13. Lancaster. Lancaster traffic, T-28 just entering left downwind 13. Looking for the crosswind traffic, no joy.
Lancaster traffic, Hawk 64134, clear of the active runway. Lancaster traffic.
Lancaster traffic, Mooney 73 November, short final 13, full stop, Lancaster.
Lancaster traffic, Cessna to uniform, turning left downwind for 13.
Lancaster traffic, 6 Kilo is on a left downwind for 13.
Lancaster traffic, T-28 is just crossing the south end of the runway, left downwind 13.
Lancaster traffic, 326 Papa, southbound 13, taxiway, departing to the south, right crossing departure, Lancaster.
Yeah, I don't see those other guys.
4 Bravo is 9 miles to the south of the east, inbound, Lancaster.
No, I don't. There was a Cessna, but he's probably in a little further. Oh, I see him. He's about the end of the north, about being the end of the north end right now. There's a Cessna. All right, so there's a guy turning base, and then there's that other Cessna that he's still going downwind.
Damn.
See the power plant in the background? He's even with that now.
Yeah, I see him.
And I got that Cessna on base too.
I don't know what that guy's doing. Turning base, you think?
There's a guy turning base final right now, then that other guy's still going downwind. He might be turning base.
I see him now.
Downwind for 13, Lancaster.
See the guy on final, I lost the other guy. Oh, I see them both. Lancaster traffic, T-28, suspended base for 13.
Lancaster traffic, Cessna to uniform, on final for 13, touch and go.
Yeah, that guy's doing touch and go.
That helps?
Well, I was going to do a low flyby.
Oh, yeah.
Lancaster traffic, T-28 will do the option. We'll break at midfield.
Lancaster traffic, 6 Kilo is on the upwind for 13.
Rodney performed a few S-turns to keep our spacing
Lancaster
going.
traffic, Cessna 314, Yankee, miles southwest east, 2,500 inbound to left downwind to 13, full stop Lancaster.
Lancaster traffic, Cessna 4 Bravo is 4 miles to the southeast, inbound, Lancaster. Lancaster traffic, 6 Kilo is turning cross, left cross run for 13.
Lancaster traffic, Warrior 8884 Whiskey, taking runway 13 for southbound departure, Lancaster.
Lancaster traffic, T-28 breaking midfield for a close in left downwind base final 13.
Lancaster traffic, Cessna 314 Yankee, 7 miles southeast at 1,900. Inbound left downwind for 13, full stop Lancaster. Lancaster traffic, Cessna to uniform, turning crosswind, well, left crosswind 13.
Lancaster traffic, 04 Bravo, crosses over I-45, inbound, Lancaster. Lancaster traffic, Cessna 6 Kilo is on the left downwind for 13.
Cherokee County 687 Juliet, 8 miles to the south.
Lancaster Mooney 990 Delta Golf is 2 to the south, inbound left downwind for 13.
Lancaster traffic, T-28, turning short final, 13, full stop.
Lancaster traffic, Cessna 04 Bravo. Following the Mooney in on downwind. Lancaster.
Lancaster traffic, Cessna 92 uniform, turning left downwind for 13.
Lancaster traffic, Cessna 214 Yankee is 5 miles southeast, 1,600, be turning left downwind for 13, Lancaster.
Lancaster Mooney 990 Delta Golf is midfield, left downwind for 13. Lancaster traffic, Sky Hawk 6 to the
Well done, sir. Thank you.
13, going to be a full stop.
Yeah, thanks.
Lancaster traffic, Cessna 04 Bravo's number 3, number 4 on the pattern. Lancaster.
Definitely a really cool machine, and thanks for keeping it flying and all the history with it. You know, that's good.
1,600, entering left downwind, Lancaster. Well, I read the book last night.
It was a really neat experience being able to go up in the air in this piece of history. Be sure to tune into part 2 of this series as we meet the sister of heart donor David Niklas and learn more about that unique story.